Face is all glowing. It's hot in here, y'all. It's hot. Woo! You remember what I said about black folks? We do generate heat. And under these lights, it ain't no joke. I know what they mean now. They say it's hot under the lights in Hollywood. It is. It is. I'm roasting. But good morning. I feel like this is my very own episode of Mr. Rogers. I'm really just kind of checking my sound levels this morning once again, and I want to just talk a little bit about what's going on in the world today, as we know it, and as we'd like it to be. I know I really do feel like I'm biting off the Mr. Rogers show right now, but won't you be my neighbor? Could you be? That was a pretty dope song. Won't you be my neighbor? And you think about it, what a great message. Won't you be my neighbor? And if only America and the world could take that message to heart. And I don't mean to be all starry-eyed and idealistic, but nothing wrong with that message, Brotherly and sisterly love is something that is in short supply these days around the world, certainly in America. And I'm always questioning, why is that? And why do we seem to keep on having this problem? People being treated and respected equally around the country. And I keep on searching for answers. Searching. The answers are revealed a lot of times. I do get answers. I'm engaged in some wonderful dialogue with some very dear friends, some new friends as well. And people are speaking out about the injustices and what's happening in our current culture. One thing in particular that always sticks in my mind is that people, maybe it's people in general, but people in America certainly get stuck on labels and titles. And sometimes they're important, like the title of President of the United States. It is just that. It has become the most synonymous and the most powerful title in the world. And to take that office, you would hold that office in high regard, and at least to the best of your ability, be fair, be deliberate, and just be presidential, But that's not what we have, and I specifically want to just touch on the matter of the Black Lives Movement, Black Lives Matter, and that's what I mean by words. The words Black Lives Matter, BML, it bothers some people, and I don't understand why. When someone posted this today about KKK, we see that, and that seems to be acceptable, and maybe not for everybody, but we know what it represents, and the Klan has not been listed as a terrorist organization. Are you kidding me? That's the truth. That's where we're at now. In fact, I know here in Pittsburgh and most other cities, when there's a protest or a demonstration by the Klan, they're usually escorted by police, state police, federal police, whatever, local police. So their rights to free speech is certainly protected, even though it's hate speech. But yet Black Lives Matter movement and folks who are really on board. And let me just say this. The Black Lives Matter movement, it is nothing new. Nothing new. The situation hasn't changed. The name is different now, but the stakes are the same. And the fight is still the same. It is the same civil rights fight that Dr. King, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Medgar Evers, John Lewis, all the civil rights greats, Sojourner Truth, Madam C.J. Walker, Harriet Tubman, and so on and so on and so on, even as far back as the Quakers, and everybody who has stood up for injustice and enslaved and disenfranchisement of people. It is nothing new, sadly, in the world, and certainly here in America. We're just calling something different now because as we do evolve little by little, here's the thing that has changed, and I see this daily on my ride to work. I work out of a place called Aspinwall, a very affluential neighborhood. Bunch of rich white folks, y'all, and that's wonderful. I'm happy for everybody. Do your thing. But as I see these big mansions, as I go to work, I see Black Lives Matter signs in their yards, and I go to the different parts of the city where very affluent white folks, and I see Black Lives Matters. So that didn't happen before. That didn't happen during the Civil Rights era. People certainly stood up and marched. My family members did, and I'm sure some of your family members did, and whoever they are, and a lot of good Christian white folks, as I like to say, were always involved in the struggle. We ain't never going to forget y'all. Never, ever, ever. So, but it's different now. We watched the murder, the life, the breath squeezed out of George Floyd's body. And even though we have seen this time and time and time and time and time and time again in America, this was different. We watched a man cry out in anguish, in pain, and despair for his mother and begging repeatedly for his life. And that was personal. As they pushed on his neck and suffocated him, and we watched his last breaths, and we watched his soul just disappear out of his body. And people die every day in the world, and in America certainly. This was different. This was different because we tend to keep faking ourselves out and making the world think and ourselves think that sometimes that this country is so great and so equal and so wonderful for everybody. But that's just a lie that some of us keep telling ourselves. And I am encouraged by the fact that people are noticing, people are finally waking up, whether they knew it before or not, they're taking action. White folks are in the street along with the Mexican, Latinos, brown folks, Asian folks, black folks, everybody in between, people of color, all denominations, all church groups and backgrounds are represented in this struggle because it is about all of us. It's about all of us. And the people who sit aside and have it great and don't have to worry about their lives or their sons and their daughters being taken by the very civil servants that are sworn to protect them. It's one thing that we all have to worry about unsavory folks around the world. It's just a part of life. But when there's no reprieve from the police, that's double jeopardy. Double jeopardy, y'all. And that's what black folks in America have been dealing with since day one, since the inception of this country. And the Native Americans. That's probably somebody texting me right now. So again, I'm having these online conversations and they spill over into real life, and I think it's fantastic. I don't know if I say what you want to hear all the time. I don't know, but I speak truth and I speak something that's thought out, purposeful, and I hope it represents the idea that we're moving forward. It's messy right now. It's messy. It always is messy. When you make something great, when you make a cake, you make the eggs and you mix the flour and milk and all that, and oil, and you got to get messy before something beautiful and delicious comes out. So, America, we're still baking this cake, y'all. We're still baking it. And my message today was just upbeat. You know, even though we do see federal troops on the ground, as I'm watching the videos about John Lewis being laid to rest and in line in state, and the videos of him being beaten down by police back in 1965 just for speaking up about the right for all people to be equal. I'm looking on the other channel, the same thing, and I see people in Seattle and Portland out there being beaten down by police who are doing the exact same thing. So, yes, we have moved, but we ain't moved that far. But the one thing that I do not want to miss, and I don't want to let slip away, is that the traction, speaking of slipping, the traction seems to be greater now than ever. More folks seem to be involved, more folks seem to be tuned in, more folks seem to be more vocalized about it, and more folks seem to be up in arms. So that's a good thing, and I want to focus on that, and I want to celebrate that, because that in the end is going to be the difference. It's going to take all of us, you know, to recognize all of our own struggles, and to all of us to come up with a solution. And this is bigger than any one of us. And a lot of good people are doing a lot of great and wonderful things. We need real leadership from the top down to stand up for equality and ensure justice for everyone. Not only that, but the economic relief that we are in need of, and this pandemic that we have to take serious and we have to deal with. You know, there's people every day I see in my life that are just remarkable in what they go about doing day to day. So I want to celebrate those folks. And I want you all to know that there are people out here making a difference. The message is finally clear. The message has been clear, but the message is being received by more people. And more people are heeding the call and answering the call to action. So that's what we're seeing in the streets. And for all of us to be great and stand up and salute this flag like we'd all like to, this flag and the people that are standing beside it have to make sure that every single one of us has the same opportunities, and that just has not been the case. That's what we as citizens ought to be united about. That's what we as citizens ought to be working together to make sure that happens. So even though your message may not be liked by everyone, that you have an opportunity to speak the truth. And you have an opportunity to pursue your life and what's happy and what makes you happy. As long as that works for that person and that person and that person and this person, then we're going to be on the right track. We're going to be all right. My message for today is be encouraged. And I borrowed that from Chaplain Davidson at the VA hospital. That's my man. He's always telling me to be encouraged, and I am. I'm encouraged by you all because you're showing me and you're reaching out and you're talking about things that matter, and keep up the good work. So do something dope today. I don't know what that might be, but you figure it out. Peace.